Now, as the engineers and mechanics make their way off the circuit, cars to be released on their formation lap.
Any second now. The grid is full, lights go green, so that releases the cars in grid order. Felix Rosenqvist goes first then. Doesn't lay down as much rubber as did Giovinazzi for race one.
Really did, didn't he? Yes.
Yeah. So round 20 of the FIA Formula 3 European Championship is about to get underway. The cars work their way around the Tarzan hairpin. And it is Felix Rosenqvist, no stranger to the Dutch seaside circuit. Now, we've had further problems off the grid by the look of it. Some slow away, and that's meant an overlap. I think everybody has got going. Julio Moreno at the back. He was put to the back of the grid because the front of the car failed the height check, the ride height check. So Moreno put to the back. And this is how the grid lines up. Rosenqvist, Giovinazzi, Pommer, Dennis, Stroll, Leclerc, Albon, Russell, Camara and Gunter at the top of the grid. They lock out the first 5 rows. Behind them 11th is going to be Santino Ferrucci ahead of Callum Eilert. Then it's Ryan Tveter, Dorian Boccolacci, Gustavo Menezes, Raul Hyman, Brandon Maisano's a long way back. Tatiana Calderon's ahead of Matt Solomon, and Michele Beretta lines up 20th on the grid. Then you get Arjun Maini ahead of Mikkel Jensen, a long way back. Nabil Jeffrey, who was 11th on the grid and scored his first points in race 1. Really bleak prospects in race 2 for Nabil Jeffrey. He's ahead of Sam McLeod, Pietro Fittipaldi, Kang Ling, Fabian Schiller, Nicholas Pola, Alessio Larandi, then Andy Chang, Matt Rao, Mahavir Raghunathan, Peter Lee and Julio Moreno to round out the grid. George Russell comes into shot, leading the field around. And the drivers mindful that they are going to need to be careful with tyres in this race and indeed in the third race, which comes up tomorrow morning. Marcus Pommer, third on the grid and third indeed in the first race this morning, first podium of the year. So can he now, with his confidence unlocked, take the battle to Rosenqvist and Giovinazzi? And what about Charles Leclerc? Because the championship leader did a solid job earlier, took 5th and banked the points, but he never looked like a megastar.
No, he didn't.
Never looked likely to threaten.
You're absolutely right. By his standards, it was
high as they are. Yes,
yes, it was quite quiet, really. But there we are. As you say, he banked the points, and that is, as you have made the point, as the races and the race weekends become more spread out now, that's ever more important to bank those points as the first of the cars are back into their grid boxes then. And for the first few rows, it's a long wait, isn't it, with such a big grid of cars before we get the green flag from the marshal at the rear of the pack to say everyone is in their grid box perfectly. And there's Rennie Rossin then from the Prema Power team that we can see on shot there. Well, he's chipper and laughing.
Why wouldn't you? You've got pole position.
Absolutely.
You've got 4th on the grid. You've got 5th on the grid. And he's got his cars, or some of his cars, at the sharp end. The field slots into place. 23 laps ahead of us then. And the pole position driver, Felix Rosenqvist, has everything focused now on Tarzan hairpin. You could just see the tyres have already had a fair amount of wear. They're certainly not fresh. And tyre wear on this abrasive circuit in high temperatures is going to be important to the outcome of the race. It is round 20 of the FIA Formula 3 European Championship. Green flag is shown at the very back of the grid. And then it's 5 red lights that will go on. Will Rosenqvist or Giovinazzi make the best start? Let's find out as we go racing. Rosenqvist is away well. He moves across on Giovinazzi, who is away slowly and under pressure from Jake Dennis, who goes to the outside line, and there's contact. Leclerc gets involved with that. So also in the middle of it is one of the Muka cars, I fear, and that brings out a yellow on the run to the first corner. Was it a Muka car or was it Lance Stroll? It could be Stroll as they work their way out of the hairpin. The cars now thread their way for the first time down to the Hugenholzbocht, and it is 25 Lance Stroll, I'm afraid, with damage out of the race already. And it's lucky that only one car actually was really involved in that, because it could have been a whole lot worse with the pack bearing down on them.
Yes, it was. So Lance Stroll out then, as the rest all seemed to get away reasonably well. And it was a great start from Felix Rosenqvist.
So heading down towards Shavelak for the first time then. Rosenqvist it is up front. Now, are we going to need a safety car to move Lance Stroll's car from out of harm's way? We'll get a replay of that. It looked as though he tried to move across on Charles Leclerc, in which case has more damage been done to any other car? We'll find out. There is Stroll. He has to stroll back to the pit lane now. Job done, race run. But in the meantime, Rosenqvist is leading the way, and he wants to try and build the advantage, but the safety car, I think, is imminent. Look, because the yellow flags wave. We have it now confirmed. Safety car is deployed. Yes, so the safety car will be used in order to get Lance Stroll's car out of the way. If you have to have marshals in front of a barrier to work on something, a double yellow flag has to cover it. And now the FIA Sporting Code says if it's a double waved yellow, that must be a safety car. There's no option. Now let's try and piece it together. Stroll is 5th on the grid. So he moves across. He's in the middle of the road, Charles Leclerc up alongside him, and again he just moves across. He gets airborne, he breaks front and rear suspension, but if Charles Leclerc has got away with that without any damage, then I'll be astonished, because that was quite an impact and it lifted Stroll's car off the road, but he just moved right across on Leclerc, didn't he?
Do you not think that he was pushed into that by Pommer? A bit. That's how I, just looking at it, we'll look at it again, I'm sure.
I will have a look. Everyone's having a look.
Yeah. Yes, have a look again.
He moves across, he moves across. No, he's behind Pommer.
You're right.
He's behind him. Yeah.
From that angle, it looked different. Yes, you're absolutely right.
And I'm afraid to say that, again, that's Lance Stroll pulling a move without really being aware of what's around him, a bit like Spa.
Yes.
This time, he has been bitten worse than anybody, and Charles Leclerc appears to have got away with it.
If he's got away with that without damage, he's done jolly well, hasn't
he? Well, he has, yeah. Fritz van Amersfoort must build a car made out of concrete, I think, to withstand that, because that was... I mean, like I say, watch Stroll, he just lifts him off the ground. Admittedly, it's interlocking wheels, but, you know, has that done anything to the suspension? He just... OK, Pommer was moving across, but he was ahead.
Yes.
So Stroll was under no threat of contact from Pommer ahead of him there.
Well...
Anyway, he's out of the race, isn't he? Job done. Game over.
That is under investigation, as you would expect.
There is Lance Stroll. And it's interesting that they are investigating Leclerc and Stroll, not Pommer. It's just those two numbers that come up on the screen.
You're right. I mean, from the first angle that we saw, you could see Pommer move across.
Yeah, absolutely. I take your point. Yeah,
and until we saw it from the reverse angle, we could see that Pommer was absolutely in front, and therefore there was that didn't... Well,
so Stroll puts the blame at Pommer's door for moving across on him.
Yeah.
But, Pommer was ahead, and either way, he had an option either to brake or go right. He went right and took Leclerc.
Yeah.
A racing driver rarely admits that they were in the wrong. I'm tempted to say that that's another example of it. For my money, Lance Stroll moved across on Charles Leclerc. Marcus Pommer's role in that was rather academic. But it's interesting that he has got the same racing driver's excuses book as you, which involved Marcus Pommer, and was able to trot out that line. So you've given him food for thought there, Dave. I'm impressed. But that is a car with enough damage to render it out of race one. It'll be, race two. It'll be back for race 3 tomorrow.
Yes.
And Marcus Pommer, of course, is running at the moment in 4th place. Just to recap the order, we've been looking at replays, but let's just, because we're going to go racing soon, work out who is where. Rosenqvist leads Giovinazzi. Jake Dennis 3rd. 4th is Pommer. 5th is Leclerc. And have a look. Do you know, it looks like he's undamaged.
It's absolutely extraordinary, isn't
it? Absolutely. 6th is Alex Albon. 7th is George Russell, 8th is Sergio Sette Camara, 9th is Max Günther, 10th is Ferrucci, 11th is Tfita, 12th is Boccolacci, Menezes is 13th, 14th is Eilert, 15th is Calderon, 16th is Maisano, 17th is Hyman, 18th is Beretta, 19th is Miney, 20th is Solomon, 21st is Jensen, 22nd is McLeod, 23rd Fittipaldi, 24th is Rao. Those are the ones that we need to concern ourselves with the most, because after that there's nobody really that you would anticipate will be making any progress. The one retirement we've had is Lance Stroll. Safety car is in this lap. So now Felix Rosenqvist, having mastered a standing start, needs to master, and I'm sure he will, a rolling start. What he will do is back, and here it comes, back everybody up behind him.
Yeah.
And what he wants to do is try to make sure that Giovinazzi is caught napping. Giovinazzi slows enough and isn't on his toes for when Rosenqvist hits the loud pedal and storms away once more. Is he going to be able to outfox the Italian? The evidence suggests no at the moment.
Yes.
But Rosenqvist has done this a long, long way before the end of the lap because they've still got to work their way down, look to the Audi S. So the safety car will be back in time, and Rosenqvist has fallen a long way back from it, and you've got to be careful about doing things like that. Sebastian Vettel will tell you that from the Hungarian Grand Prix a few years ago. So here they come, now on the power, midway through the corner, but I reckon Giovinazzi has stayed with him.
I think he mirrored that.
Good job done by Antonio Giovinazzi. Here they come through the Ari Luijendijk box up to the pit straight once more. And if Giovinazzi can stay with him and get in the toe, there's a chance that he could nip up the inside at the Tarzan hairpin. He's not near enough, is he? He was close. He's fallen away just a little as they come over the timing line and the flag waves. It's only a fifth of a second. He's going to have a look. Can't do it there, though.
But he was definitely closing in on him, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So you're right. He wasn't close enough to be able to do it. Around the Tarzan box they go. Then it is Rosenqvist that leads from Giovinazzi, but Giovinazzi is right on him and he's not letting him get away, and Jake Dennis is in there as well. So Giovinazzi's in this position where he's going to try and attack, but he's going to have to defend as well from Jake Dennis. And
he's doing more defending, isn't he, because he's dropping slightly away from Felix Rosenqvist. And of course Jake Dennis, even though it's every man for himself in F3, drives for the same team as the race leader. So he's helping his teammate without perhaps meaning to do so by taking some of the pressure off Rosenqvist and applying it to Giovinazzi, who's had to go defensive. And Rosenqvist now has checked out.
Yes, you're absolutely right. So Rosenqvist, Giovinazzi, then it's Dennis, Pommer, Leclerc, Albon and Russell together again.
Replay of the start.
Cool, I'll tell you what, that track only just got out of the way.
I was about to say, Rosenqvist may have timed that right and Giovinazzi went with him, but maybe he stayed with him because Rosenqvist had to do a little lift just because he saw that up the road. Interesting that that was still on track when the safety car had come into the pit lane. I'm not entirely sure that that was known to race control.
No.
I would be very surprised if they would have been content to let that happen. So we are back racing, and at the end of the lap, and this is the end of lap 4, so Felix Rosenqvist has pulled the gap over Giovinazzi. Dennis third, Pommer is fourth, fifth is Leclerc, and sixth is Alex Albon. And where are the changes going to come from as the cars now work their way up towards the completion of the lap? Rosenqvist heads over the timing line. It was a fifth of a second on the last lap. He's just done the best of the race and has pulled 1 second over Giovinazzi.
Extraordinary.
That will be job done, I think, for Rosenqvist as there Gustavo Menezes gets up the inside of Callum Eilert. Menezes in the yellow car, and also trying to find a way past the pair of them was Tatiana Calderon, and she's got past Eilert. Tatiana Calderon gains a place there. The Colombian girl goes through ahead of her teammate. We saw her lead at Spa in the wet-dry race, but now making progress here on merit. In fact, all three of those are Carlin cars, aren't they? Different liveries across the three, but this inter-Nissan scrap continues. So we're working lap number 5 here at Zandvoort. It is round 20 of the FIA Formula 3 European Championship. Fabulous circuit, a real driver's track this, but it does, in a Formula 3 car, break up the pack a little bit, and Rosenqvist is doing a very good job of building the advantage here.
Indeed, and Giovinazzi looks to have gapped Jake Dennis behind him as well. And there you can see it there. Jake Dennis with Pommer behind him there. That's P3 and P4 on screen now, and then Leclerc is P5 with Albon and Russell.
Max Günther, Norris Ring winner, 9th. He's got some work to do here. If anything, there you can see that there's a battle on as heading into the Kumho box. You've got Charles Leclerc coming under a bit more pressure from Alex Albon. It's hard to gauge this because Leclerc didn't sparkle in the first race, but you know, if he has suffered a little bit of damage, it only takes a little bit to tweak your suspension a tad, doesn't it? If he is having to cope with that, 5th is a good result. His lap times are okay, not quite as quick as Albon behind him, but he's certainly not lapping mega slow. Calderon under pressure from Eilert. This is the battle for 14th place, out of the points. Gustavo Menezes just ahead of them up the road. The incident between Leclerc and Stroll is going to be reported to the stewards of the meeting, and they will have a look at it post-race.
Okay.
Felix Rosenqvist then, building this gap in the first sector. Actually, it's come down a fraction, because there, the absolute best thus far done by Giovinazzi. Good battle here, look, you've got 26 Ryan Tweeter just ahead of Dorian Boccolacci for 11th place. This is Class B almost for those outside the points, isn't it? As they work their way through turn 8, and there's a yellow somewhere. We've got a yellow flag within the first timing sector. I think it might be up at the top of the circuit near Chevelak, and the safety car is out, and it's Leclerc.
Oh,
now, is that an incident with another car, or is that a failure given the incident at the start with Lance Stroll? The safety car is out for the second time. The championship leader is off the road spectacularly.
Do you know, I was looking at that and I thought Albon's got past Leclerc. I couldn't see Leclerc in the pack that I was looking at, and I could see Albon, and, well, sure enough, he was off.
And Leclerc's hurt himself a little bit because that's been a whack, and he walks away, but there's damage. He's hit the barrier pretty hard,
Yeah.
and that, you know this because you stood there with me yesterday, is a fast corner, Dave.
Yeah, jolly fast corner.
So that's turn 7, and Charles Leclerc is a bit whacked about by that. I'm intrigued to see no marshals are there yet, because that car hasn't just landed, has it?
No.
So the safety car is out on circuit, and whether we can have a replay of that, not sure, but we've certainly lost spectacularly the championship leader, and this is going to be perhaps another of those significant races at season's end. Don't forget, these races have a 35-minute time cap, and it could be now with a second safety car period that we're looking at that more than a number of laps. But the safety car is on track, the medical car is on track there. Look, you can see it in the pack, going to the aid of Charles Leclerc. And it's curious because it's happened a long way around the corner, and he's not the PA speaker back. You can see the witness marks on the barrier. Did he fall? Was he pushed? And if it was a fall, was it because something failed in the car?
Well, so there is the recovery vehicle on its way. But yes, intrigued by this, because
it's hard to know when the car's sitting in the gravel. I was just wondering if that right rear wheel looked displaced. And it wasn't that side it was hit at the start by Stroll. It was the left that took the impact. So could there have been contact in a battle on that lap? But we'll try and piece it together. There's the medical car. The good news is that Charles Leclerc is fine and out of the car, but he will be a bit bruised and battered, a bit sore. And now the adrenaline has worn off. It'll start to hurt a bit more, won't it? So the marshal helps him over to the DTM medical team, who will take him to the medical centre, and that is par for the course in any incident these days, large or small, just to make sure that a driver is okay. So the safety car works them near the incident zone, round to the end of this 7th lap of 23, but it is going to be a race now, I'm pretty sure, that will go to time.
just looking down the timing screen to see. I mean, no one else has dropped out with damage which may have been associated with it.
To go off as far as he has gone off and hit the barriers, that was a very high speed off. You know, he's broken, you saw it there, broken the front left suspension, or the front left suspension may have broken to pitch him off the road, depending on how much of an effect the Stroll incident at the start has had. But that is a high speed corner, and he's gone a long way off the road there, through the gravel bed.
And as you say, you know, just to have bent that PA speaker behind the Armco would suggest just how hard he did hit that.
I'm sure some of the snappers have got some vision of it. And the field is behind the safety car now, then, as the field works its way around lap 8 here at Zandvoort. Callum Eilert through, running at the moment down in 14th place. And of course, you have to bear in mind that the original incident is going to the stewards anyway. If an outcome of the first incident was this subsequent accident, doesn't look good for Lance Stroll, does it? Thumbs down from
Fritz van
Amersfoort on the pit wall, yeah.
So that's the car being recovered, and sadly we've not seen a replay of what caused it.
Well, to give Lance Stroll for the moment the benefit of the doubt, it could have been an innocent off by Leclerc making a mistake. It could have been a tag from a car behind, or it could indeed have been connected to that first incident. We know not, but we'll find out hopefully during the course of the race and see what we can glean. Failing that, we'll bring more news for race 3 tomorrow, or of course there's the Formula 3's championship website, which will give you the story as well.
Olban's car was the one that was right behind Leclerc, isn't it? And, you know, that's not somewhere that you would typically try and move, is it? It's
I wouldn't have thought so.
Too fast, isn't it? You've got to have the optimum line there. But then, you know, you've made the point. He's only got to get a wheel off, hasn't he, and get it wrong. But it's a curious part, as you said, curious part of the circuit, or of that particular corner.
So safety car still on track as we have a look at some of the beauty shots. Max Gunter there.
And the all-yellow car was that of Gustavo Menezes. And we have just under 18 and a half minutes of the race left to run. Still under the safety car. And
there's no news to confirm why the off happened, and it may be that until they've spoken to Charles or looked at the car, the team doesn't know, but they do tweet, it's definitely not our weekend. I can't offer you the hashtag they've used, but think of a 4-letter word that's well known. Right. That sums up the day. So the safety car stays out for the moment. We're on lap 9, and we've got 18 minutes to go. And as I say, it's going to go to the clock, this, isn't it? So the fans top up their tan. The driver's eager to get on with life. What this has done is put Ryan Feeter into the points. So he'd be pretty chuffed about that, even though it's by default. His best has been a brace of 11ths so far this year. So if he can hang on to a 10th place, that would be a good result for him. And the car's working their way up towards the completion of a lap. Through once more. I just wonder whether the safety car is having to stay out because of barrier damage.
Well, it was the point I was then going to make. You made the point that the PA speaker looked like it had been pushed back. For it to have been pushed back means the barrier has been pushed back. Now, whether the barrier is broken or has just absorbed that impact, but of course the marshals down there who are on site will dictate whether that barrier is damaged sufficiently to warrant some repair work. But if so, that could be a very, very lengthy safety car period, couldn't it?
Absolutely right, yes. And then you get to the aspect of having to bear in mind if enough laps have been done to qualify for full points. Well, we're going to be good to go this time. It comes up on the screen. Safety car is in this lap, so it'll be the end of lap 10. And really, we're looking at 16 and a half minutes of racing with a flying lap under proper race conditions being around about 90 seconds, depending on how near the front of the grid you are. But we'll go racing at the end of this lap. The order, remember, for the top 6: Rosenqvist, Giovinazzi, Dennis, Pommer, Albon, Russell. That is the order. Championship leader Charles Leclerc out of the race. So out of turn 8, down towards the Renault corner they go. We've already seen Felix Rosenqvist control the pace well on the first restart. There's nothing to suggest he won't do it again second time around, is there?
No, and he is going to have to do it second time around. And there the safety car goes, and Rosenqvist, Giovinazzi, Dennis. And again, Giovinazzi is going to have to try and read what Rosenqvist is going to do. I think from the last restart there was a truck in the way, which is why you felt that Rosenqvist may have lifted just a little bit, and that allowed Giovinazzi. But Giovinazzi certainly, well, he's like super glue to him at the moment, isn't he?
And Rosenqvist goes, accelerates into the Audi S. Giovinazzi tries to go with him, but I don't think he stayed near enough this time. What's going on for fourth could be intriguing, because Marcus Pommer is never that hot on restarts. We saw it at Spa, remember, where there were a couple of occasions where he was really tardy. And look, you know, he's not stayed anywhere near Jake Dennis, and what he's done is get them all bottled up behind him. So Pommer could be vulnerable as we go green once more here at Zandvoort. Over the line they come, and Giovinazzi is close. He's about near enough to think about making a move, and Rosenqvist has to defend going into Tarzan. Giovinazzi stands his ground on the outside line, but he's not going to be able to do that, I don't think. Opportunity squandered because he couldn't get the switch back then. What he tried to do was go the long way round. Rosenqvist defended, and that was Giovinazzi's possible last chance, really. He worked himself into a position. Yes. It hasn't worked. Now he's fallen back a couple of lengths.
So Rosenqvist, Giovinazzi, Dennis, Pommer. They're all gapped at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah. Now, normally we say safety cars breed safety cars, but at the moment the gaps are just starting to open up a little bit on this circuit. They all wriggle their way around the first third of the lap pretty effectively, and so now as they work their way up through turn 8, the gap is widening. It is Felix Rosenqvist who does lead the way from Giovinazzi second, Jake Dennis third, and then Marcus Pommer is in fourth place. Now, is Pommer a little bit nearer to Dennis? Yes, he is. So third place could be on here. This could be a battle shaping up nicely between the Brit and the German. And what about the last place in the top 10? It's still Ryan Tvita. Menezes up the inside of Boccolacci into the S. And Gustavo Menezes goes through. Good pass that. Teed him up beautifully. And Gustavo Menezes goes through up into 11th place. And if he can pull that again on his teammate, he'll be in the points. Calderon comes up, gets past Boccolacci. Now Callum Islet has a go. Boccolacci's got a problem. Dorian Boccolacci, oh, he's broken suspension, isn't it? Look, the front left's towing in a bit. He's got a damaged suspension somehow, I think.
So a problem then for Boccolacci, no problem for Felix Rosenqvist as he goes through into the Tarzan turn once again. It's Rosenqvist, Giovinazzi and Dennis. And
there, Callum Islet coming under attack as they head down towards Tarzan. He's got Raoul Hyman behind him, but he's just got past Brandon Maisano. And now Hyman tries to get up the inside as well. So Islet goes through. Maisano in the red-nosed car is next. There's Arjun Maini on the inside of Michele Beretta. Islet locks up and drifts wide. All of a sudden, battles are coming alive low down the field. Pietro Fittipaldi there in the red, white and blue car around the outside of Sam McLeod. It can be done. It can be done. You can overtake round here. Fittipaldi absolutely dead set level with McLeod. Look at this. They are wheel to wheel. Fittipaldi will have the inside line out of Hunsrug through the Slottermacher Bocht. Up now towards Chevliak at the top of the lap as he go through. Not quite. Yes, he has got past McLeod. So Fittipaldi has done it. Brave, brave stuff. Through Chevliak he has done it. And there, Fabian Schiller, his teammate, gets onto the back of Nabil Jeffrey. But then Fittipaldi locks up going into the Renault corner. So he's gained some ground and then struggles again.
Incredible to watch. Some great racing going on there. So Rosenqvist with 1.2 seconds to the good over Giovinazzi, and there that gap is really, really noticeable. Then the gap back to Dennis in P3. Marcus Pommer is P4. Then it's Alban Russell, Seta Kamara, then it's Gunter, then it's Ferrucci, and Tvita P10.
Over the timing line they come. That now puts 12 laps in the book, and we've got 12 minutes to go. It's going to be time.
Yes.
So as the leaders head through there, look, Fittipaldi number 12 coming under attack. Sam McLeod is right up behind him once again. He goes to the outside as they head down towards Tarzan. Is this the move for position for him round the outside? He can't go all the way round there. He wants the inside coming out of the corner, but he couldn't get the switch back in time. So Fittipaldi fends him off for the moment. Nose to tail, these two. You can see Fittipaldi pushing in the understeer there as he drifts wide, misses the clipping point for the corner. But Fittipaldi hangs on to the place as they power their way midway around the lap. Speed building through Hunsrug, now up towards turn 7. But Rosenqvist trying to edge away from Giovinazzi, bearing in mind that Giovinazzi had a look to get past on the restart. The gap is now 1.8 seconds with 11 minutes still to run. And a replay. Now, what does that tell us? I think that's probably from the restart. And it's 32, isn't it, getting it wrong, which means that it is Peter Lee. But he survives the experience. Long way down the order, in fact, is the Chinese driver. As the leaders head up towards the end of lap number 13. In the first sector, the gap was down between the leaders. In the second sector, the gap was up between the leaders. The battle is still on between Fittipaldi and Sam McLeod as they work their way through the Kumho corner up towards the completion of the lap. Out of the Arie Luijendijk Bocht now, over the timing line have gone the race leaders, and the gap is 1.9 seconds. For Rosenqvist, it looks as though it is job done. Career win 21, win 6 of the season, should be heading his way, and that's important for him, outscoring Giovinazzi, and both of them outscoring Leclerc.
Yes, of course. But this battle that is continuing at the moment for P20 that we're watching between Fittipaldi and McLeod. There is our race leader, who, as you've rightly said, is jolly near 2 seconds up the road, isn't he? It's job done almost by the clock, isn't it?
Yes, the fat lady has arrived to warm up her voice. She's not singing yet, but she's about to start, I fear, because Giovinazzi is almost out of shot, isn't he now? Look at that. He just creeps in the background. And although he's good in the first sector, Rosenqvist has sectors 2 and 3 nailed, so the gap is going to be extending, I think, all the way to the flag now. So Felix Rosenqvist turns his way through the Audi S. He's on the power. Here he is in super slow-mo replay. You can see where the bumps are in the lap. That's going up through Hunsrück, and he's clear of the opposition. So Felix Rosenqvist masters Zandvoort year on year, whether it's in the FIA Championship or the non-championship Masters competition. He comes over the timing line, and the gap was 1.9 seconds. The gap is 2 seconds. And there's no way, unless he makes a mistake, that Giovinazzi can respond to that, I don't believe. Jake Dennis third, heading for points, and what he's also done is shake off Pommer.
Yes, he has. Yes, Pommer was right with him, wasn't he, from the restart? But you're quite right. He has shaken him off now. There is the race leader, Giovinazzi, and then Jake Dennis, and all of them are gapped, aren't they? The 1, 2, 3, 4 at the moment. All Alban and Russell. How close together are they?
Not close enough, no. I fear. Part of the problem is around here, slicks and wings, and it is a circuit great to drive that does break up the pack, but it's amazing how much the gaps do open up. You know, you've got these drivers that trade thousandths in qualifying, and look, there's 2 seconds, then 1.9, then 1.5, then a second. You know, those are the margins. It's not thousandths when it gets to the race. On the Prema Power Team pit wall, the team watches Felix Rosenqvist again lose a fraction of time in Sector 1 to Antonio Giovinazzi, but with 7 3/4 minutes to go, we're running out of laps, and Giovinazzi thinking about points here. He came into this race ahead of Rosenqvist. We'll see what the championship standing is going to be post-race, but it's fascinating now with Leclerc having only his second non-finish of the year.
Yes, and as you say, going into this, it's been a very, very busy time for them. If you've been in the FIA Formula 3 European Championship, been almost relentless, hasn't it, with in terms of racing, whereas it all calms down a little bit now as they head towards the second half of the season. Points absolutely crucial, and as you say, with non-finish for Charles Leclerc, that is going to hurt, that's for sure. Race leader Felix Rosenqvist then, once again, not putting a foot wrong at all. And the 1, 2, 3, 4, all evenly spaced out, untroubled by anyone. And at the moment, seemingly driving each and every lap completely and totally error-free.
So Jake Dennis third, coming into this race 4 times a winner and 4th in the championship, but wanting points. You've got to keep on banking them, as we've said, and Charles Leclerc, the driver that's lost out in this race, and that's a story I think that will rumble on. We might get another chance to have a look at that start in the highlights at the end and see again whether there was any further contact. Did, for example, the initial whack from Stroll, we talked about the left-hand side of the car, did he then clatter into the wall with the right-hand side, which could have exacerbated the issue later on in the race? That's another factor to bear in mind. We'll have another look, I'm sure. Now there, Alex Albon 5th has got fellow Brit, fellow BRDC superstar George Russell chasing after him, and as they work their way now towards the end of the lap, it is Signature ahead of Carlin. George Russell only 0.6 of a second back, quicker in Sector 1 and virtually level pegging in Sector 2, so he's not near enough to make a move. And Dorian Boccolacci, who we saw with damaged suspension, pitted and is under investigation for exceeding the pit lane speed limit. So there might be a grid drop for tomorrow if he's found guilty, hanging over him. He will be reported to the stewards of the meeting, I understand, for exceeding the pit lane speed limit. A lot of understeer there from Matt Solomon being carried into Tarzan, wasn't there? And this is Felix Rosenqvist, the master. If he went this slowly in real life, the others would have a chance, but at the moment he is away and gone, over 2 seconds up the road, isn't he?
Yes, 2.2 seconds the margin that he has over Antonio Giovinazzi in P2. And then it's a further 3 seconds back to Jake Dennis, P3, then Pommer, and Albon and Russell are the closest together, P5 and P6. But that was a super slow-mo replay of the master at work. So there is Alex Albon then. benefited from the Leclerc going off, because that has pushed Albon up a place. There is George Russell, who is running down there in P6. Quite close enough, and they're over the last 3 laps. Difference between Alexander Albon and George Russell in terms of gap. Rosenqvist now with 2.4 second margin as he heads through turn 1. Giovinazzi, Dennis Pommer, Albon, Russell, then we see Seta Kamara, and Gunter is at P8 with Ferrucci P9, and rounding out the points haul, it's Tavita in P10, which I think you said is a career best. Yeah, first time in the points for him this year, if he can hang on in there, so that's encouraging. I know it's kind of by default, but I'm sure he'll take it, as we've got now just, over 3 3/4 minutes of the race to go. But Felix Rosenqvist looking for a 6th win of the championship season. It's all looking good for him. There you have, going through behind him, Giovinazzi and then Jake Dennis. More slow-mo of Rosenqvist at work. He knows his way around a Formula 3 car. He knows his way around Zandvoort. And when you back that up with the years of experience and data and knowledge that Prema Power Team has, it should be, and most of the time is, a formidable combination. But of course, coming into this, you had Fritz van Amersfoort's team and a rookie driver leading the championship. Yes, and, you know, in fairness, Felix Rosenqvist certainly hasn't had the rub of the green on many occasions, has he? Spa, for example. Yeah, Monza, with only half points for 2 of his 3 wins. Another, yes, I'll take your point. So, we've got 3 minutes to go. It's going to be just about 2 more laps, I would suggest, as they come through. Here is Rosenqvist then heading up towards the timing line. So, 90 seconds roughly is a lap. It'll be this and 1 more, won't it, as he comes onto the penultimate lap now, down towards the Tarzan hairpin at the start of the lap, hard on the brakes, turn it into the right, it's a slightly banked corner. Keeps away from the high curbs on the inside, skims the curb on the outside as he threads his way now through the next sequence of corners, and then you have to be so careful going into the Hugenholtz box where there's virtually no runoff at all. Again, it's a slightly banked corner, it drags you out uphill and then over the brow, undulations all the way around this lap. Designed by John Hugenholtz, whose son is still a prolific historic racer, same man that designed the Suzuka circuit, and it really is a fabulous lap as they're locking up. You saw Santino Ferrucci, and that suddenly gives Ryan Tveter a chance to think about more points. 2 for 9th, not just 1 for 10th, because he gets a little bit nearer to his fellow countrymen as they work their way now around Hunsrück up towards Schevelak at the top of the circuit through turn 7 therefore. And you've also got lower down that little group, Brandon Maisano trying to keep at bay Raoul Hyman. Those 2 are together. There is time enough for 1 more lap at the end of this, but Felix Rosenqvist is on target for a 21st European Formula 3 win, if you include the Euro Series to go with that, its predecessor. And it's watching Ferrucci as we did there. He is the one that has really seemingly wrestled with that car to try and get the best out of it. And what's just been exciting for us to watch, it's not necessarily the best way around this circuit as we look at Giovinazzi, who's now some 2.7 seconds down on the race leader, Felix Rosenqvist. But Giovinazzi there in P2, super slow-mo of that car. And so, after a dominant display in race 1, boot on other foot, isn't it now? Yes, because he is going through what Rosenqvist had to go through. About 3.2 seconds is the margin between them. Felix Rosenqvist is on his last lap of the race. There is less than a lap time left now. As I say, win number 6. He's half a lap or so away now as he works his way uphill. But yes, it's a dominant display by Felix Rosenqvist, but I always have to bear in mind that with the experience he has, it should be. Exactly right. Yes. But he's not done anything wrong. He has driven superbly. Ideally, you'd see him in a GP2 car this year because the experience and the talent is such that he should have moved out of Formula 3 by now, but didn't get the budget together. Prema came to him at the end of last year and said, we need a team leader. Are you it? A deal was done, and it's paying dividends in terms of this race and a victory, but wouldn't it be good for next year to finally see Felix Rosenqvist in a more powerful single-seater? GP2, Formula Renault 3.5, for example, and see how he shapes up. He's almost at the end of round 20. There is 1 more race to go tomorrow morning. And so Felix Rosenqvist
powers his way into the last long right-hander. It starts with the Kumho Bocht, it finishes with the Ari Luijendijk corner. Here he comes up towards the timing line, and so at the end of what has been a masterclass in how to win in Formula 3 and how to win at Zandvoort, it is victory to a delighted Felix Rosenqvist, who comes through now to take win number 6 of the season as he comes over the timing line from Antonio Giovinazzi in second place. Jake Dennis back on the podium for third. Fourth goes the way of Marcus Pommer. Alex Albon fifth, shaking off George Russell for sixth. Sergio Sette Camara is seventh. Eighth should be Max Günther. Ninth, Santino Ferrucci. And Ryan Tveter gets in the points, we hope, for the first time this season. He does, confirmed in 10th, ahead of Gustavo Menezes, Tatiana Calderon, Callum Eilert, Brandon Maisano. Raul Hyman is 15th, ahead of Miney, Beretta, Solomon, Jensen, McLeod, Fittipaldi, Jeffrey for 22nd as they pour over the line. But Felix Rosenqvist, the man of the moment, because he wins a twice interrupted second race here at Zandvoort, and there's just been no stopping him in the last 35 minutes. Excellent drive, excellent display of how you should behave in a Formula 3 car, and again, with pretty much no exceptions, one start line incident and then whatever caused Leclerc, we've got through without too much incident. But either way, none of the silly driving that we had for a couple of meetings late May, mid-June.
No, which is good to see. So, delight on the pit wall for Prema Power Team.
Yet another trophy for the cabinet, as you were saying in the course of the race. They have racked up a good tally. Second for Carlin, but importantly, it is points, and that's the key to it all. Yes, it's a defeat in terms of only being second place, but it's points and they're banked. So the fans get themselves ready for the next activity on track, but Charles Leclerc will head to bed tonight a bit bruised and battered and under attack in the championship. That's how the top 10 crossed the line. Felix Rosenqvist ahead of Antonio Giovinazzi, third Jake Dennis, Marcus Pommer fourth, Alex Albon fifth ahead of George Russell. Then it was Sergio Sette Camara, Max Günther, Santino Ferrucci, Ryan Tveter rounding out the top 10. Menezes 11th, Calderon 12th, Eilert 13th, Maisano, Hyman, Miney, Beretta, Solomon, Jensen, McLeod to round out the top 20. But of course 11th onwards, you're out of the points. Same true for Fittipaldi, Jeffrey, Rao, Ling, Schiller, Andy Chang, Julio Moreno, Alessio Lorandi, Nicholas Polar and Raghunathan, who came home in 30th spot. And of course Peter Lee we saw go off the road. Boccolacci had some suspension damage. Leclerc out, possibly because of Lance Stroll's incident with him off the line. Nicholas Polar is confused as to which way he should be going. And the answer is that the winners do a complete slowing down lap and head to Parc Fermé in the pit lane. The others are peeled off the circuit before the Kumho Bocht into the paddock and the Parc Fermé area there. So Antonio Giovinazzi then takes second position. Frustrating in the sense that he could do little about Rosenqvist, but at least it's another good haul of points banked, all crucial for later in the year.
Yes, Antonio Giovinazzi did nothing wrong, but just Felix Rosenqvist was masterful, wasn't he?
He just didn't do enough right, in a sense, because Rosenqvist was that bit better.
P3 goes the way of Jake Dennis, who, after his non-finish from race 1, will be delighted to be back up on the podium and to bank those points for P3. And there we can see him being congratulated by the Prema Power Team. The team which he moved to this year and is supremely comfortable with, it has to be said.
He's fitted in really nicely, yes, indeed. He's still supported, as you can see, by the Racing Steps Foundation. And it's been a good combination all round that. There is George Russell, who again will be heading for the rookie podium. But Jake Dennis for Prema, change of engine as well as a change of team. But better results is the key to it all. There is Felix Rosenqvist. Puts the steering wheel back on. Stands atop the car. And a very happy man. That means a lot to him, that win. Yes. It brings him back into the hunt in the championship. And the next stop is the Red Bull Ring, isn't it, at the end of July, 1st of August weekend. Another challenging circuit, but a modern Formula 1 circuit with lots of runoff, which will be interesting to see how that affects the dynamic of the racing. So Rosenqvist rules at Zandvoort, and Nicholas Polar is out in the Arctic because he needs retrieval. And the car has ground to a halt. So that will need to be towed back to the pit lane, but it's undamaged. Polar finishing away down the order in the end, wasn't he? So for the championship, this is what we've been waiting to see. 9.5 points now, Leclerc to Giovinazzi. Rosenqvist still third, fourth is Jake Dennis, and then fifth Russell, sixth Albon, but 9.5 points going into tomorrow's race. All of a sudden, just one race result changes things radically, doesn't it? 25 points went begging there for Charles Leclerc. I'm not saying he would have got all 25 through a win, but that was what was on the table, and it went begging. Doesn't score anything.
And again, this is, as you said, when we saw that Leclerc being out, you know, is this something that we're going to be talking about right at the end of the season in terms of points lost? And possibly so. And
if it's his mistake, then that's one point to take on the chin. If it's a legacy of somebody else's driving, that might be harder to take.
Yeah.
But as yet, we have no confirmation as to who did what to which and to whom to cause the Leclerc demise. We'll try and gain more news and get confirmation, as you have the winning drivers and you have the winning rookies as well getting ready for the podium ceremony. The 3 overall trophies, the team's trophy, and then the 3 rookie Formula 3 shields there as well.
It's fascinating to sometimes listening to what
it is, isn't it? Yes, eavesdropping. It is good. Alex Albon there, who is the top rookie, isn't he, from George Russell? But Felix Rosenqvist able to celebrate a win, and I'm still intrigued to see where Felix's career takes him next. Can't do another year in Formula 3. I know the career dream is to go single-seater to follow Marcus Ericsson into Formula 1 as the next Swede, but I just wonder whether there'll come a point where a manufacturer GT or touring car deal is preferable, because he's earning, not spending. Especially now, of course, given how few seats are available in Formula 1 and how difficult it is to get there. So the drivers make their way out onto the podium. Jake Dennis, the British driver, for third. Felix Rosenqvist on the top step of the podium. And there, Antonio Giovinazzi in the yellow overalls is there too. Prema Power Team, the Italian squad, takes the team's award. And for Felix Rosenqvist, the Swedish national anthem.
Congratulations to
Felix Rosenqvist, the winner, the Swedish driver, once more on the top step of the podium here. And an excellent drive by Felix Rosenqvist, who has his winner's trophy. And the teams, including Mucker down there, for whom he drove last year, to celebrate with him. Eric Viters there, the CEO of the Zandvoort circuit, hands over the trophy to Antonio Giovinazzi. And then Jake Dennis is going to be the man for third position. Christoph Stucki from Hankook is the man that hands over the trophy. So Felix Rosenqvist inches closer in the title race. Antonio Giovinazzi is a heck of a lot closer. And there is Alex Albon's car. Alex, the best of the rookies. So the drivers are all there on the top step. They, I suspect, will huddle together for photographs, and when that is done, then the Henkel Trocken is at their feet. But first of all, yes, trophies with the Dutch colours in the ribbon are picked up. Photos are taken, and Felix Rosenqvist takes a 6th win of the season. There is seemingly, for the moment, no stopping him around Zandvoort. Can he do a double with a 2nd victory tomorrow morning here? With no more track activity today, they can celebrate for now. And it's all fun and games on the podium. Jake Dennis certainly has come on a pace over the last 12 months. We saw him occasionally on the podium last year by dint of being a successful rookie. Now he's there on merit for an overall podium. The Prema engineers soaked. Antonio Giovinazzi tentatively gives the bottle to the team. And the podium is now dressed, ready for the rookie drivers to make their way out. But Felix Rosenqvist will go into tomorrow's race very confident indeed, and perhaps rather less confident will be Antonio Giovinazzi, who really couldn't do very much about him at all in that, could he, to narrow that gap. Giovinazzi will start on pole for tomorrow's race, with Marcus Pommer at the front with him and Felix Rosenqvist third on the grid. So he's got not only to make a good start, but Felix Rosenqvist has some traffic to wriggle through on the way to the first corner. Tomorrow's race promises to be another fascinating battle in what's been an intriguing story. Formula 3 cars are on track at 10:30 tomorrow morning. Join us for that. For now, from Dave Richardson, David Addison and the Seaside, bye-bye.